Porto 3, Man United 3 from last night, and we're joined by the Guardian's Manchester United reporter Jamie Jackson now. Good afternoon, Jamie.
Good afternoon.
There we are. Got out of jail, didn't he?
Yeah, which is kind of the story of his tenure, certainly last season and now this one. And it's interesting because Harry Maguire, who you played the clip there, scored the equaliser. He was for sale, certainly 2 summers ago.
Yeah.
Bombed out as captain, but this is sort of the wacky world of a ball foot, isn't it? So he sort of lives on. If you ask me a slightly different question about the Villa game, you know what? I think he could still survive a loss there as long as it's not a sort of 3-0 tanning, which might happen, as happened against Spurs and obviously against Liverpool in the previous home game in the league anyway before that.
I'm hoping they don't get rid of him before the 3rd of November, actually. When we play Chelsea. Honestly, I don't know how this can go on. I mean, it's embarrassing, isn't it? I mean, he last season he spent the whole season saying, "Well, I haven't got my first choice centre halves." Now he's got his first choice centre halves. What excuse have you got now? I don't really know what they're doing in EOS. I don't understand Radcliffe. I mean, they wanted to replace him in the summer, and they probably should have done.
Well, I agree with what you just said then, because last season I did defend him. I said, look, I know injuries are not allowed to be an excuse, but 66 by the end of the season is a fair mitigating circumstance. But now, okay, Yoro's out, but he's only an 18-year-old kid, and Højlund's made his first start yesterday. But now, this season, he doesn't really have that excuse at all. And what I'm seeing is not great. Now, it's interesting this because he keeps on saying we're all in this together, meaning Ratcliffe, the sort of leadership of the football, Ashworth, etc., as if to say, I'm kind of going nowhere. But I was told from very, very high up in United that after the 3-0 loss to Liverpool, because at that point there were players still out like Højlund and others, that they wanted to give him a fair chance, to sort of see what the game model, and that was the word or the phrase that was used to be, unfolded like under him. Well, we're now, 4 or 5 games later, certainly in the league, and the game model is still a little bit, up in the air. But it's interesting. There's also a school of thought that they can't really afford to sack him, right? Because he's had an extra year extension on his contract. Not it's an extra year, but you're looking at, best part of 20 million maybe. And okay, they might have that, but you then have to get rid of maybe some of the other staff, getting a new gentleman, and all the rest of it. Yeah. So this is maybe at play as well.
I suppose the cheap answer is to get in Van Nistelrooy because he's there already. So,
Yes, there is that, but I don't know. I mean, it's just the whole. I think they're really hoping you can sort of pull this round. But I mean, you are right, Andy. I hear exactly what you're saying in terms of. I am a little bit scratching my head. I mean, maybe they are going to set out their stall and stick with this guy. But as I said, that information I was given, which was over a month ago, well, so the start of September anyway, after the Liverpool loss, was what I just mentioned. So, I believe that to be correct because of where it came from. So he is on sort of thin ice. But as I say, I would not be if they go to Villa Park on Sunday and lose, I don't know, 1-0 and they look good. I don't think they will get rid of him. Yeah. I don't know 100% because maybe they don't know. But he's an interesting one about Van Nistelrooy because as I understand it, yeah, okay, he sort of had to green light that point, but I don't think it was necessarily his idea. It might have come from Ineos. So, make of that what you will.
We can hear from Man United manager Erik Ten Hag. He's reflecting on a frustrating evening in Portugal.
I think it's mixed feelings, yes. And when you are winning a game, we know, this is a very tough place to go. And when you then start so well, the players executed the plan, I would say brilliantly. We scored 2 great goals, and then we're switching off, and we don't keep so much possession as before. Defending, we're switching off. We concede a first goal, totally unnecessary, and then then you light up the fire in this stadium, in this ambience, and then it's become real tough.
Yeah, I mean, Ten Hag apologists will say he's won 2 trophies. They'll always point at that, and a lot of other teams would bite your hand off for 2 trophies. A really good call to the sports bar last night. And he was saying they're in danger of becoming like Arsenal were for a while, constantly winning FA Cups as sort of band-aids over what the real problems were. Do you think that's about right, Jamie?
Sort of, it's suggested that. I mean, just one interesting thing on the back of what, the clip you played there. I asked him, where was Ugarte? Yesterday, because that midfield of Casemiro and Eriksen is leggy. Eriksen has actually had a good start. He sort of set up one of the goals yesterday with a burst through the middle. But defensively, him and Casemiro, it's just not, they're not credible really. And this is why teams like happened yesterday, like happened with Spurs, Van der Ven and the other goals are running through them because the midfield is kind of paper thin. And the answer on your guy was in essence, well, he still needs to be integrated. But this is a gentleman who was signed, the end of the transfer window. When was that now? It's 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a top pro coming from PSG. How long does he need? And I would suggest that the taking off of Rashford at halftime, who was flying in the game, he scored and set up another.
That was instant management, wasn't it? That was odd.
Yeah, we're seeing, and odd is a really good word for it, Charlie. We're seeing a lot of this. I think he dropped him, was it the game at Palace after he scored 3 in two matches ahead of that. So I don't know. I mean, maybe in his heart of hearts he's thinking that he could have lost yesterday, but he needs to beat Villa to keep his job, because the Europa League's extended and all the rest of it. So that's why he made those decisions. But all the time there are these decisions, these choices that are affecting the results. And we all know that football, especially at United, well, seemingly anyway, you have to start winning. And they sort of spent 200 million this summer investing in his squad. I think it's a 600 million plus spend overall in just over 2 years. I don't know what you two gentlemen think, but I certainly think it has to be a little bit better, certainly in this season.
It's his 3rd season, and if you look at Maresca and Arne Slot, that you can already see what they're trying to do, whether it's successful or not. It is at the moment being successful, but you can see what they're trying to do. With this bloke, you never know what United are going to do. You never know how they're supposed to be playing. I mean, I've been surprised because Chelsea played Ajax when he was the manager in the Champions League, and they were great, and that was a brilliant team he had there. And you just see nothing like that in this with United.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing he keeps on reaching for, I'm not saying I agree with this, is, look, we're investing in young players. We have to turn over the squad in terms of getting rid of aging players. But this is why I was puzzled that Casemiro and Eriksen both lined up yesterday. I get it that Maine's injured, of course, he did travel. But what is Ugarte doing sitting on the bench there, especially the whole game? You know what I mean? I mean, all right, don't start with him. But when it starts to go sort of the way it went, belly up, bring on this guy you've signed who's supposed to be your new stopper, your new number 6, put out fires. But no, at halftime, for the second half, he didn't appear. And then, they go up basically 5 minutes into the second half, score again through Pepe, and then they're behind the 8 ball yet. Again, it just seems a bit odd, really.
I wouldn't put it past them to beat Villa on Sunday, though. To be honest,
good record against
seems to be the way he goes. He gets desperate, pulls one out of the bag, and everyone's on his side again.
I hear you completely. So, and that's kind of why I'm saying about the sort of, if it's a 1-0 loss, I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos will look at it and think, well, maybe we can hang on.
Yeah.
Hoyland's only just started. If he starts on Sunday, it'll be a second game of the season. We've got Euro coming back. He did look good in pre-season, but it was a very small sample size, and it was against Rangers in one half before he went off in the game against Arsenal and LA, which I was at both. But when we're discussing all these things, it feels like it's that straws being clutched at with regard to his sort of what's going on there. But you never know. Football is a very funny old game, as the old cliche goes. But I just, at the moment, I think there's a lot of belief is wavering from sort of die-hard fans as well.
Yeah, brilliant, Jamie. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons, 1 till 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.